This is Dawn Drake, and you're listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. I'm your host, Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Loudini, and we have a great interview once again with an amazing artist that I'm really excited to bring to you guys out there, my audience, who maybe you're not familiar with, Dawn Drake. This is going to be a lot of fun. Dawn is just an amazing bass player. I don't know if I've had many bass players on here, but Dawn is an amazing bass player, artist in her own right, and really excited to talk to her. Before we get started, I'd like to just do a little business here. This is the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, and you can catch up with everything we have going on at LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. New interview every Wednesday, new music podcast every Saturday. So go to LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. Also on the website, if you are a musician, there's a tab there to click, and you can submit your music, or you can correspond with us about getting in touch for doing an interview for yourself. So if you say, I would like to be interviewed, that is how you do it. I'd like to thank our longtime sponsor, the wonderfully Positively Pittsburgh Live magazine. That is pplmag.com, Pittsburgh's first internet radio, TV network, online community, and business directory. You can listen to, watch, download, and receive emails with the latest audio and video created by members of the community, read articles, grab coupons, find businesses. You can even put your own page up there if you want, and you can listen to great podcasts like this one, the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, and you can find that at pplmag.com. Now, like I said, we have Dawn Drake on the line with us, an active musician in New York City's African, Brazilian, Cuban, and women's music scenes. Dawn Drake started her career as an electric bass player and percussionist. Now she is also known as a singer-songwriter, composer, and bandleader for her band Dawn Drake ZapOte. She's also a very active teaching artist for several New York City arts organizations, including the Brooklyn Arts Council. Dawn, welcome to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you. So tell us a little bit about, there's so much things on it. Well, you're right there on the bio. It's the first thing. It says you're active in the African, Brazilian, Cuban, and women's music scenes. Now, tell us about what these scenes are. Can you kind of give us an overview about these genres and what they're all about?
Sure. Well, as you know, New York is the great big melting pot, and you can find everything from A to Z to Eastern European music to Russian music to anything you can possibly imagine is here in New York City. And I started connecting with these scenes through playing and studying percussion. Because as you know, most Caribbean and Latin American percussion really comes from West Africa because of the transatlantic slave trade and the displacement of people. So I actually studied in West Africa, in Ghana, for a year, and that was in my college days. And in Ghana, that's where I met all these, really interesting Ghanaians who owned restaurants and businesses in New York. And so that was where I first got the idea that moving to New York would be pretty interesting because there was such a huge West African population here. So when I moved here, I quickly tapped into the African dance scene and the African dance scene of the diaspora, which includes Cuba and Brazil and Haiti, and so there were a few different dance studios at the time, mainly Ferretta. There was a big dance studio in Lower Manhattan called Ferretta, and they just had everything from A to Z as far as drumming and dance was concerned. So I started taking classes there in Haitian dance and Cuban dance and samba and West African from Guinea and Senegal and, all over the West African coast. And that's how I got into these scenes. Yeah, so that was the beginning. Hello.
Did you start as a percussionist and then go to the bass, or how?
I kind of started both at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, I started as a piano player. As a child, I was playing classical piano, and then I moved to jazz piano. And then when I went to UC Berkeley, and from there I went on their West African exchange program to Ghana, and it's there that I started playing percussion. But it, I had my fingers in all kinds of different cookie jars for a long time.
Okay.
So I studied guitar in high school, and so I just kind of moved that over to the bass. When I got out of college, I moved to New York, and I really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So I just started taking all kinds of lessons, and, I was cocktail waitressing at the time. So, so I had all this kind of free time on my hands, and I just started taking bass lessons and conga drumming lessons. And so I kind of, New York was very good to me in that regard. And I started both bass and percussion at the same time.
So the sort of melting pot is true for you artistically as well, because you started like kind of being able to experiment with a lot of different things, and you ended up sort of settling. I mean, really, at this point, though, you're primarily the bass and singing and songwriting. That's primarily what you're doing?
Well,
it's kind of hard to play percussion while you're playing bass. Or is it?
I've tried, like one day I will get, the toe percussion going on.
Okay, toe percussion.
Toe percussion.
When you start playing toe percussion, let me know. I'm going to come take lessons.
I try to keep up with everything. When I started this band, I really kind of dropped out of a lot of different scenes just to focus on the band and promoting that and getting it going strong. But now I find I get a lot of pleasure out of playing with other bands and other artists. So, I mean, for example, last night I was just playing with the Gustavo band, and that's like a band full of that's run by Justin Cafando from the Ivory Coast, and so all the members of that band are from West Africa, from Ivory Coast and Benin, and so yeah, I get a lot of pleasure out of continuing my role of playing bass in different bands, and I also play Afro-Cuban percussion for dance classes, mostly at Alvin Ailey School of Dance in New York City. So yeah, I try to keep my chops up in all regards.
So what do you find about freelancing and doing these other things what do you get out of that you don't really get from, okay, my own band where I'm doing my own thing? Talk about the sort of, because there's something more. I know that you're in it full time and it's a living for you. That's, obvious, but I'm sure that there's a sort of other side to that that's sort of like feeding you artistically, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always get inspiration from other artists that I play with. And just, I think it's so important for me, I'm not talking about everybody, but just for me, it's good to see both sides of the coin of being a band leader and a side person at the same time. Because as a band leader, you have a whole set of other challenges. And I think for me, being a band leader and writing on the music and running a band is very satisfying. But a lot of that stuff is logistical, and, it's not actually playing, because I'm self-managed, so I'm doing booking and I'm doing promoting and, trying to fill the room when I'm playing and, and managing, just the logistics of rehearsal and scheduling and all of that stuff that's not music. So for me, playing with other bands, that's like, that's where I just get to play. I just show up and I enjoy playing the music, and I don't worry about all those other things, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of refreshing to be like, oh, I can just play.
Yeah.
You know? But then when you have your own thing, too, that is an outlet for you to kind of like have more of your own voice as well. So you're, you know, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't imagine not having my own project at this point. You know, it's just another level of satisfaction where I'm just like, you know, this is what I have to say, and this is my time to share it with you. I mean, that's
okay.
Then
really let's get into that. Dawn Drake and ZapOte. Tell us about that band. Who's in it, and how in the hell do you sing and play those bass lines at the same time? I was watching your videos, and I'm like, that's amazing. Well, that's another question. We'll get into that. Let's talk a little bit about the bands here, because I want to know a little bit about what's going on there.
Oh yeah, well, I've got a really great band. I'm so thankful that they're there for me. Well, let's start with the drums, because for me that's always, you know, the backbone. Okay. We have Rosa Avila on drums, and she is a total pro. She comes from Mexico, raised in Austria. She's kind of all over the map as far as being an international character. And she plays with the pros, so, I mean, she's really amazing. On percussion, I have Paula Green, who I've been blessed to have been playing with now for 6 or 7 years, and she's also amazing. The two of them together just feed off of each other, and they, you know, it's obvious they really love playing together, so that's always great to see. And she's having a baby very soon, so there'll be another addition to the family. Yeah, and then on keys I have Eiko Rikuhashi. She's Japanese keyboard player, and she's also, you know, she studied jazz and she's studied Latin piano, so she's also really great, and she has her own project as well. And then I have Jackie Coleman on trumpet, who's just all over the map in New York City. She had a whole series. She was on a MTV series this last fall, and she's been playing with me for almost 8 or 9 years now. So I snatched her up as soon as she moved to New York from Midwest, and, you know, she's been playing with me ever since. But she also plays with like 20 other bands. So yeah, she's very popular. New York sounds an awful lot like Pittsburgh. It's the same way around here. You know, there's those core people that are just really amazing, and like they're in a whole bunch of projects. Yeah. I mean, everybody is in, like, 10 bands, or we're always cheating on each other, but it's fine,
Of course. You do what you got to do.
Yeah. And then I have Maria Eisen on saxophone, tenor sax, and she's also really great. And then I have Eliane Amher, plays guitar with us sometimes when she's in town, when she's not touring in Europe. She also has her own project. She's from Switzerland, and so she brought me to Switzerland a couple times, and that was really great. So. Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Now, is everybody in the band now? Because I'm looking at the videos, and I'm seeing the music stands and everything. Are they coming up with their own parts, or are you arranging all this stuff? I mean, or are you sort of? I mean, how does that work?
Oh,
because this isn't like it's. Let me just interject right here. For those of you that are not familiar with Dawn's music, immediately after the interview, go listen, because this is not like 3-chord rock and roll. I mean, there's a lot going on. So I mean, so the reason I'm asking the question is because I can imagine, if everybody isn't really gelling or whatever, people start stepping on each other. So how does it work in your band?
I write the parts, and that's why they're reading them. Because they're all written out. Of course, there is a level of improvisation. People get solos where they can improvise over the chord changes, but I'd say, and also, I mean, some of the horns, they throw in their harmonies from here and there, but for the most part, everything is written out. The only parts that are not written out are the drum and percussion parts. So those are the things that we work out in rehearsal and stuff like that. So yeah, it's I mean, for me, that's the way I like to work, just because, I don't know, I write by myself. I'm not like a big collaborative person. Like, I don't like getting together in a room and going, okay, what are we going to do? Like, I more, I sit down and I write them all out. And, so it is sort of like a composer's project in that regard. Yeah.
Now, you have another project as well. Not only do you have your own project, you have two of your own projects. And you're playing with a bunch of, now tell us about the other project that you have.
Zaria's Mai?
Yes, Zaria's Mai.
Yeah. Well, it's really...
I wasn't going to try to pronounce it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That is my Slovenian name. That's Dawn Drake in Slovenian. Zaria. Zmai means dragon. And Drake, also means dragon. Right. So that project I started out in California because I did study composition at California Institute of the Arts. Over the last couple of years, I've sort of been going back and forth, and I finally finished my MFA in performance and composition there. And the band that I started there, that's Zaria's Mai mixology band, and it's kind of like an orchestra. So I have flute and violin and two percussion players and trombone and sax and trumpet. And so it's kind of a work in progress, but I really enjoyed working with all those instruments. And, I have visions. I'm not going to reveal, but
okay.
I have visions for Zaria's Mai in the future that just, doing the music that I'm doing, but with different instrumentation that sort of reflects my background. Because I guess, I've been so enveloped in the Afro-Cuban and Latin music world and the Afrobeat world that, that is home for me. But I also have like some, my own roots to kind of deal with it. That's sort of like what Zaria's Mai is going to be, is, taking my roots in Virginia from the Appalachian area and my Slovenian roots and sort of mixing that in with my music, as far as like using different instruments and different time signature changes and, things like that you won't see in ZapOte, which is really, ZapOte is, my funk, Latin, global funk, Brazilian influences that have been so important to me. But, at the end of the day, I'm from Virginia and I'm part Slovenian. And so I'm kind of trying to look at those roots as well, as all my other amazing influences that I've been lucky to have. So
okay, well, speaking about influences, as far as the bass goes, who are your like go-to bass players?
Well, I would say Bootsy Collins, Parliament Funkadelic, the Meters, Neville Brothers. Mainly funk influences, and then, of course, the Cuban influences are very strong as far as, like, Juan Formel, the Los Van Van. I don't know if you're familiar with that band, but that's one of the major bands that came out of Cuba in the last 50 years. And so many other incredible bass players. As far as, like, friends of mine, I mean, I'm very influenced by, like, Danny Rojo, who lives here in New York. He's an amazing bass player. So mostly the Latin, the Cuban bass players, and the funk. players.
How do you sit down to write? Like, do you have an idea? Okay, I want to write a song like this, or because you're singing too and you're writing lyrics, and in the styles that you played in so far, I don't know what your new project is going on, but in this band, the music is really important. I mean, it's not like I was telling the audience. It's not, like it isn't Bob Dylan. Sitting down with 3 chords and So how do you do work? Do you think are lyrics kind of an afterthought, or like how do you put it together?
It really depends. I mean, sometimes the melody will come to me first, and or the hook or the chorus, or some part of the lyrics will come first. Other times I have sat down and said, okay, I'm going to write a song based on this rhythm, or I'm going to sit down and write an Afrobeat song. And so with that, the rhythm comes first, then the bass line, and then probably the horns, and then maybe the words and the melody come last. It just really depends. I mean, when I first started writing, it was because I was taking voice lessons for the first time. And so I would wake up with all these melodies and lyrics in my head. So,
oh, wow.
So, I, just from learning how to sing other people's songs, I started, writing my own songs. And that's when I would just sit down at the piano and plunk down chords and come up with these melodies and lyrics. And then after that, I sort of got more into the instrumental arranging aspect of it. So right now, I'd say it's 50-50. I might, but usually it's either I come up with the melody and lyrics first, or I'll come up with, okay, I want to write a song in this genre, so I'll, put down the chords and the rhythm, and then come up with the lyrics later. Or it could also just be a mix and match, Okay. Oh, I came up with these lyrics and this chorus. Why don't I make that a Haitian compa song? I do a lot of mix and matching.
Okay, I got you. Now let's speak. So speaking of the bands and the music, everything you're coming out, is Zapote? Are they going to do? Are you guys going to do a new record? Because it looks to me like what your last release was in 2013.
Yeah, we are recording a new record right now. So I have tons of songs that I haven't been able to get out yet, but we are recording, and as recording is, it's time consuming, and it's also expensive. Yes. And so I am definitely looking at the new album coming out by the fall. That's what I'm hoping for.
So what is going on then? So you're working on the new record. So what is really coming up here? The new record's going to come out in the fall. So what does the next 6 to 12 months look like for Dawn Drake?
Wow. Okay. Well, I have a big show coming up this Monday at Brooklyn Bowl, and that's really exciting for me because I've never played there with my band. I've played there with other bands. But Brooklyn Bowl is a pretty, great place to play. So I'm excited about that. And then I'm going to Cuba for 2 weeks in April, and that's going to be great. And I haven't been, I used to go to Cuba back in the 90s. All the time, but I stopped going just because I was putting, all my money into writing my, CDs that I have. So, it'll be great to go back to Cuba. I haven't been to certain regions there in about 15 years, and I have friends there that I haven't seen in a long time.
So what are you going to do in Cuba? I mean, is this a tour, or is this a vacation, or?
Well, it's, I actually I have a job. I work for this sort of a travel company that where I plan the entertainment and I plan the music on these trips. So we went to Dominican Republic for New Year's, and that was really great. And I played every day pretty much. Me and my buddy, my DJ buddy Gina Ferreira. We have a duo where we play percussion and I sing and she DJs for me and, vice versa. So we did that, and then we connected with all these Dominican bands, and it was really great. It was awesome. And so this time around, we're going to Cuba, and so I'll be part of the entertainment I'm part of the entertainment director team, and so that's what I'll be doing there. And then after the party is finished, then I will go and see some of my old friends.
After the party is finished, you're going to another party.
I'll have my own party after that. So I do a lot of that throughout the year. I have about 5 trips that I take with this company that I've been working for about 10 years. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like if you're a musician, especially in the genres that you are really passionate about, it sounds like you've kind of found kind of a cool, I'm making air quotes here, day job that works, right?
Yeah.
That's really amazing, Dawn. Congratulations. I hope you're loving it.
It is. It is a cool day job. I mean, I have several other day jobs too. Yeah, I mean, right now I'm teaching special needs kids music in the New York City public schools. So I'm pretty much 3 to 5 days a week I'm out doing that work, and that's also really great. It only happens pretty much in the springtime, so it's seasonal.
You're right.
So right now I'm pretty much doing that till the end of June. I'll be teaching. Dawn Drake becomes Miss Dawn, in the classroom with the kids, and
cool.
So I've been doing that for a long time, about 12 years now. Yeah. As far as like the next 6 months or 12 months, well, I definitely see the album coming out, and then I'm trying to. I'll be honest, it's very difficult to take 6 people on the road.
Really?
Yeah.
Listen, I interview a lot of people, like this full band on the record, and then when they tour, it's them and the guitar.
Right.
Exactly. I'm seeing that more and more and more, So that's the economics of it,
Yeah. So my touring is at a minimum. I do have roots in Virginia, so hopefully I eventually would like to start a festival in my hometown of Virginia, start a world music festival in Winchester, Virginia. That's one of my goals. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I definitely have that in mind. And I also want to go back to Switzerland because that was a good market for us. And also, I want to sort of branch out and see what kind of, musical collaborations I can get going on in New Orleans, and I really also enjoy the Miami scene. So I'm trying to branch out to, be more mobile with my music, but not in the sense that I'm going to be able to take 6 people on the road, because I don't. So far I haven't really been able to swing that. I did in the beginning.
Yeah.
I did that. But I'm looking at, sort of trying to set up different sessions with musicians in other cities so that I can collaborate with them myself, that kind of thing.
Well, how can people stay in touch with you or follow you or keep abreast of everything you have going on? Because you have a lot going on.
Well, you can always join my newsletter on my website. So
and that is
DawnDrake.com, and you can click on newsletter, and there'll be like a little sign up prompt for you, and you could definitely if you don't mind monthly spam, you can definitely sign up for that. And also on Facebook, it's very easy for me to keep people informed on Facebook. So if you want to go to Dawn Drake and ZapOte on Facebook, and you can like us there, you'll be getting all the Dawn Drake and ZapOte news on Facebook.
I would also like to add, Dawn, that you have a lot of videos on YouTube, and I would encourage people to go check those out too, because
that's true.
Really, there's some dynamite performances. And I want to add one thing, because you did something I absolutely love. You won me over. When I searched you on YouTube and I saw your version of "Walking on the Moon," that is, if not my favorite Police song, one of my favorites, and one of my favorite bass lines of all time. I was like, oh my gosh, she's doing "Walking on the Moon." Okay, I'm in.
Oh, cool.
So, so just tell everybody, go check that. And on the YouTube, I believe it's The Dawn Drake.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can find that. There's a video from February 10th from this year up there right now that I just watched. So
yeah.
A lot of good stuff there.
Thank you.
This is going to kind of officially end our conversation with Dawn Drake. You guys can go to dawndrake.com, and you can find Dawn on Facebook as well. If you sign up for her newsletter, you won't miss anything. See how that works? And Dawn, can you hang out for just a second? I'm going to do a little business, and then we're going to do a little bonus round at the end, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.
Guys, you've been listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. You can go to LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. If you are a musician, click the musicians tab at the top and send me your stuff, because I'd love to hear it, and we'd love to be able to set up an interview with you. Would like to thank our sponsor one more time, Positively Pittsburgh Live Magazine. That is pplmag.com. Please check them out. Please patronize them and buy everything they have, because they are supporting this great show where we are bringing you music that I'm sure a lot of you have never even heard before, and I know you want to hear. So, guys, thanks so much for listening. Go to one more time to our artists our artist for today's page, dawndrake.com. Sign up for the newsletter and you get all the information. Guys, thanks for listening. You're listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. That is LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com, and we will see you guys on the next podcast.